This morning. Um, you're fine. I want to talk about this lady briefly. As you know, our guest pastor, our guest preacher this morning is Carla Stengel. You'll recall, give her a warm welcome. We're so glad to see Carla this morning. And I want to welcome everybody today on Stewardship Sunday. I'm reminded as I look at this sheet in front of me here about last week. I was tickled by what Ellen Evelyn had to say. And she said, "Welcome to the Church of Perpetual Announcement." I have a lot of announcements here that we're going to go through very, very quickly for you. So I'll get started on that right now. First of all, anybody else have any announcements as far as a birthday, anniversary, promotion? Yes, Rachel.
If you have not signed Florence Nesbitt's birthday card back here on the table, please do. She is 102 today. Oh.
Wow.
I'm going to go see her after church and take the card to her.
Significant. If you haven't signed the card, it's back there. Any other announcements? We're friends here, folks. Yes, Kathy has one. And George is going to help right this way.
When I dropped off the Love in a Bag at the Wright Brothers Elementary this week, they gave me a packet of some handmade thank you cards, thanking everyone for your generosity in helping them. They're so grateful to get a bag of some little food items to get them through the weekend. So
thank you for helping us. Thank you.
Show them the bright one, please. And I got this card from Mrs. Keel, who is one of the teachers at Wright Brothers, and she's the one that's in charge of the program. And it says, "Dear Aldersgate Church, celebrating all of God's most wonderful gifts and wishing you a blessed Thanksgiving. You are a blessing to many of our students and their families. You make a difference to Wright Brothers Elementary. Thank you, Mrs. Keel." So, well, yeah, I'll put it all back at the table. So, just wanted to share all that with everyone. So, thank you all.
Another auspicious occasion this morning, folks, hanging of the greens. As we decorate the sanctuary, Advent begins next Sunday. And so if you're able and want to stay to help hang the greens, there'll be a lunch afterward for the worker bees who are going to stay around to do that. So I encourage you to think about that, maybe make a decision to help with the greens. Have some other announcements this morning. Irma Smith, beloved member of our church, is now home in hospice care. And if you care to call or visit, just maybe kind of keep it brief. Irma's not too strong, as I understand it. So prayers for Irma as well as the family. Carol Mosby's family has chosen Saturday, January 21st, to celebrate Carol's life. And we'll have more information about that after Thanksgiving. Also, we learned that Michael Yule had died yesterday morning, and so we ask for thoughts and prayers for Michael's family as well. Another announcement, maybe on a personal notice, some of you attended the Springfield Dayton Community Chorus presentation of Handel's Messiah. There's a little flyer out in the vestibule you can look at. But I would just tell you that performances will be Saturday, December the 3rd at 7 p.m. and Sunday, December 4th at 3 p.m. over at Sulphur Grove United Methodist Church. We do have some Aldersgate representation in that Marcia and Janie and myself will be singing with the community chorus, and we are really, truly looking forward to that. Any other announcements? I may have missed some. Yes.
We had Larry Copey on the
Mm-hmm.
He passed away this week as well.
Okay, sorry to hear that. Prayers and thoughts for the Kopenecki family, please. Any others? Is Tank? Oh yeah.
My husband's surgery went well. He's still in a lot of pain, but he's home and recovering.
Blessings for that. Blessings for that. Where's Tinker? Did Tinker have a? Tinker. She's mic shy, folks. Got the hot mic.
Okay. I'm so excited about the adoptive family, I can hardly stand myself. So, when you came in, I hope everybody saw the tree. On the tree are ornaments. Grab the ornament, take the whole thing, open it up, and inside there's a little card that'll tell you some of the likes of the girls. There's 2 girls, 11-year-old and a 14-year-old. So, make sure that you grab it coming in or going out. Make sure you grab one. And for the people at home, if you want to be involved, you can either come by and get one or send money, and we will shop for you. So, again, like I said, I'm so excited. I can't stand myself. So I hope you all are excited too. So thanks.
Thank you, Tinker. Any other announcements?
Can I add one thing to that?
Yes.
The mother did not give us anything she wanted. So if you see something that the mom would like, we still want her to have a little Christmas.
Okay. Thank you.
We don't know. We don't know. When I say nothing, I mean nothing.
So, best guess. All right. Any more before we move on? Janie has an announcement.
We're just so happy that Arlene Odell is back.
Arlene is back, and here she is, looking great. Thanks, Janie. Thanks, Arlene, for being here. Okay. Now let's prepare our hearts and our minds for service as we're led by the music of the prelude and the entering of the visible light of Christ. Please join me in the call to worship this morning, and please rise if you are able to do so. Praise the Lord our God.
Praise God's holy name.
Proclaim Christ's greatness in the sanctuary.
Sing of Christ's mighty deeds among the people.
Extol the Spirit's protection from the storm.
Proclaim the Spirit's grace and mercy.
Praise the Lord our God.
Praise God's holy name.
Good morning. I invite you to join me in singing our opening hymn, Great is the Lord. The words will be on the screen. Great is the Lord, he is holy and just. By his power we trust in his love. Great is the Lord, he is faithful and true. By his mercy he proves his love. Great is the Lord and worthy of glory. Great is the Lord and worthy of praise. Great is the Lord. Now lift up your voice. Now lift up your voice. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. He is holy and just. By his power we trust in his love. Great is the Lord, he is faithful and true. By his mercy he proves he is love. Great is the Lord and worthy of glory. Great is the Lord and worthy of praise. Great is the Lord. Now lift up your voice. Now lift up your voice. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. Great are you, Lord, and worthy of glory. Great are you, Lord, and worthy of praise. Great are you, Lord. I lift up my voice. I lift up my voice. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Thank you. You may be seated.
Our Psalter reading this morning is from Psalm 145, verses 1 through 5, the greatness and the goodness of God, and verses 17 through 21 in praise of David. I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Greatly is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. Our generation shall extol your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. They will recount the glorious splendor of your majesty, and on your wondrous works I will meditate. The Lord is just in all his ways, and kind in all his doings. The Lord is near to all who call on him. To all he will call on him in truth. He fulfills the desire of all who fear him. He also hears their cry and saves them. The Lord watches over all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth will speak the praise of the Lord, and all flesh will bless his holy name forever and ever. The word of the Lord for the people of God.
We come together in a time of prayer as we do a number of things this morning. I know it is your Pledge Sunday, and what you pledge is for the work, the care, the ministry of this church, and most importantly, the ministry of this church out into the world. And it is so good to see the many things that you're doing here that are caring for others. A deep care, obviously, is our prayers together. So if you would get your prayer request list here and just hold that list in your hand. Okay, we'll be reading the names, the first name of each person. But just hold those prayers close to you as we name them, and in naming, we are raising them before God. So let us join together. Irma, Barb and Fred, Larry's family, Janice, Shelton, Trevor, Grammy, Mary Catherine, Ellie, Rick, Barb, Ron, Arlene, Bev, Jeannie, Wayne, Corinne, Renzel, Linda, Margaret, Bob and Karen, Barbara, the people of Ukraine, Russia, and peace in Europe and the world. Kay, Ralph and Millie, Will and Linda, Dana and Marion, Colleen, Leo, Janice, Mike's family. We pray for those who are afflicted with cancer. We pray for the work and the ministry of this church. And we pray for those who are serving in the military, wherever they may be throughout this world. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers.
This morning, our prayer hymn is the Servant's Song. We've done that one before. And what we're going to do is sing verses 1 through 4. And I would invite you to come down front, single file in the center aisle, to the collection plate and place your pledge cards in that plate. After you've done so, you may return to your seats by the two side aisles. And those who wish to stay at the prayer rail, please stay there until we sing the last verse of the Servant's Song. So please, you're invited to come forward, put your pledge cards in the offering plate.
Brother, sister, let me serve you. Let me be as Christ to you. Pray that I may have the grace to let you be my servant too. We are pilgrims on a journey.
Let us pray. These are gifts, O God, and pledges to the work, the care, the ministry of this your church into the world. They are given with our hearts, considered with our minds. They are come out of the love you have for us and the faith that we live into to care for others. May they be used for the work and the ministry and the outreach of this church, the care for one another, reaching deep into the world of need. So receive them, gracious God, and receive us. These are symbols of our hearts and our hands, our minds and our lives that we give to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Let us continue in our prayers. Let us pray. Thanksgiving is not just one day of the year, Holy God, for we know it is our way of life. And in that way of life, we are continually reminded that every gift, every person, every event, every encounter, everyone who comes to us are gifts from you. The world around us, the very life and breath that we breathe, is a gift from you. This church, the friendships, the care is a gift from you. The needs of the world, the prayers that we give, are in a response of the gift from you. And so, gracious God, we ask that you hear all of our prayers collectively, that you hear the needs that we have expressed, that you hear the needs that are unspoken, that you hear and you already know the needs that we don't even consider, but they are from you. And gracious God, we give you always our thanks. Thank you for our family and friends and church and simple blessings of, not simple for many, but food, shelter, and love. And we who are blessed give back to others. And so on this season and this day of giving thanks, we offer to you our praise. We offer to you our humble hearts, knowing that what we have is a gift from you, and you will lead us in the ways we are to gift others. And we, your church, pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
When we sing to God in heaven, we shall find such harmony, born of all we've known together, of Christ's love and agony. Let me be your servant.
Our gospel reading this morning is from Luke chapter 20, verses 27 through 38. It addresses the question about the resurrection. Some Sadducees, those who say there is no resurrection, came to him and asked him a question. Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, leaving a wife but no children, the man shall marry the widow and raise up children for his brother. Now, there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman and died childless. Then the second and the third married her, and so on in the same way, all 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had married her. Jesus said to them, those who belong to this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy of a place in that age and in the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. Indeed, they cannot die anymore, because they are like angels and are children of God, being children of the resurrection. And the fact that the dead are raised, Moses himself showed in the story about the bush, where he speaks of the Lord and the God as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, he is God not of the dead, but of the living, for to him all of them are alive. The word of the Lord for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Please prepare your hearts and minds for our offering. Please bow your heads with a short word of prayer. Gracious God, you provide hope for our future. We join together in prayer, knowing that you act as a loving parent who calms our worries and fears. Multiply our tithes and offerings so that our hearts and our actions reflect your love. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Jeff will now come forward to collect our offerings and tithes.
Receive these prayers, these offerings, gracious God, and with them receive us for the work, the ministry, the care of this, your church, into the world. And we give all in the name of Jesus with great thanks. Amen. You may be seated. Well, good morning. First of all, I just want to say how delighted I am to see all of you. It's just a pleasure to be here. My husband sends his regards. He had a great debate. He really wanted to come, but he is also lay leader at Church of the Cross, and so he has some responsibilities today there. So, but I'll ask Mary Jo if she'd ask me again when he can come too. So, but it is a joy to be here. I have to say, and this is just a personal reflection, and I truly, truly mean it. Since I retired, I've preached in a good number of churches. I was interim for a number, as here, in several, and then I also do 1 or 2 Sundays, some kind of thing. You know, I pick up a gig, as I call it. And hear me really well, you are one of my favorites. And I don't say that everywhere I go. I really don't. I mean, I've had one church where I say, I'm never going back. So, but your spirit is so genuine and so loving. And I just want to say what a joy it is to be asked to come back for this Sunday. And but your spirit and God's spirit is here. And, you know, I'm so thankful for that. Well, this is a really interesting passage. Whenever I do a study, whenever I teach a class, I always begin that class very, very, very clearly. And I say to students and to participants, ask your questions. If you're thinking about something, or you're confused about something, or you wish to discuss something more in depth, speak up and ask that question. Okay, ask what's on your mind. Because chances are that there's someone else that's asking or thinking about the same thing. Because, you know, I very, very specifically say there are no dumb questions. There are no ridiculous questions. There are no silly questions. And then we get to the Sadducees. And I have to say, this is a dumb, silly, ridiculous question that they have. And they've caused me to rethink my thinking about questions. Because they come before Jesus, and they do. It's the dumbest, most ridiculous question possible for him. So let's look a little bit at the context of this first, because it's important to understand who the Sadducees were and why they asked such a ridiculous question. Now, the Sadducees were part of the upper aristocratic class. They were in this long line of priestly houses in the Jewish tradition. They were responsible for the maintenance of the temple and all of the elements of worship. They were the only ones who could come and enter the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctum of the temple. And that was only by one of those, one time a year on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. The most obvious thing from this description of them is that the Sadducees definitely had a lot of power. They had power over the religious as well as the civic realms of Jewish life in that time. Now, but interestingly, they did not believe in the resurrection. They did not believe there was an afterlife of life. They thought after death, one's soul merely existed that it was in this place of still darkness. Some think the word Sheol has the meaning of hollow, empty. But it was not life, it was not resurrection, but this hollow, dark place of the dead where the soul simply existed. That's what they believed. So believing that there is no resurrected life in God after death, the Sadducees do come with this question that is quite ridiculous. And they give this illustration that if a man marries a woman and then he dies without children, the brother then is required by the traditions and laws to marry the woman so that she was cared for in that culture. But then it goes on and it says, well, he dies, and then another brother is responsible for marrying her. But then he dies, and the continuous kind of thing is that after 7 brothers, and they all die, the woman then dies. Who is she to marry or be married to in the resurrected life, since she was married to all of the 7 brothers? Do you see the absurdity of that? Do you see how ridiculous a question that was? It was a question that was meant to mock Jesus. You're talking about the resurrection, but this is like, they give this ridiculous kind of scenario because they don't believe any of what he's saying. They don't believe that any of them would have life. And here Jesus is talking about life. He's talking about new life. He's talking about abundant life. Far more and very different from what they believed. And so they come with this absurd, silly, ridiculous question, hoping to trap Jesus, to argue with him about it, or at least make fun of him while they're trying to prove their point. But Jesus does answer them. And he says, no, you've got it all wrong. In this life, we marry, but in the age to come and after death, life is very different. It's not Sheol, it is life, because God is all about life. Life in the past, and he goes and says, as we've seen in Moses, life in the present, here and now, how we live this life we're given, and then life in the future. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive. That's how the passage ends. I think what Jesus is saying is that it is important how we live here and now. Because that's all we have, essentially. And we run into trouble, we get caught up in the silly and the insignificant questions if we try to debate and to take our understanding of this life today and then sort of supersede it over what we make some assumptions of about what heaven might be. The resurrected life is totally different from the life we have now. And in many ways, we can't possibly apply our limited perspectives and our small understandings of life into the life to come. We have glimpses, but we can't take and totally understand that. What has come before us, what will come after us, is mere speculation. And that's not what really is important. Jesus says what is important is that God is. God is alive with us now. God is among us. God is a part of each of our pasts, will be part of our future, but is here now. I think that's what the passage is about. Throughout the whole of the 4 Gospels, Jesus over and over and over again says the kingdom of God is among you is here and now. And we are to live into those teachings. We are to live into the life of God that is here among us now. So as I was looking at this passage, I thought, so I always try to say, what does it mean for me, for us? We don't want to ever, nor can we, deny our past. We learn from our past. It is the context that brings us to the present. And we need to have hope and belief in the future. Okay, that's what faith is about. But how do we live in the here and now? How do we live for today? Not carelessly, I don't mean that. Don't go out and party. But, but how do we live right now as faithful people with purpose and meaning in our lives? Because so much of Jesus' teachings were about the now. How do we treat one another? How do we care for the poor? Now. How do we forgive? How do we let go of the past or the hurts of others? Now. How do we live on this planet in better ways? Now. How do we care and respect and live as part of God's creation? Now. How do we care for our souls? Grow into the likeness of Jesus? Now. He was always about life and living life to the fullest, but here and now. Remember, the kingdom of God is already among us in the here and now. And God calls us to live into that. So what does that mean? First, I encourage you to think that for your own life, but I'll share with you a few things that sort of came to my mind and what was meaningful for me to think on. Because I believe, first, to live in Jesus in the here and now means that we're deeply connected to one another. Because we're all of God. God is creator of all and everything and everyone. I am not an independent person. My life and everything I have and my life story and who I am have been deeply influenced and shaped by other people. And by the grace of God, through every experience that I have had in my life, good and bad. Therefore, what I do in my life also affects other people. How I care or don't care for others. How I live within this creation. Do I make a difference for good or for ill? How do I live each day? Impacts the world and other people in some way. My faith, my actions in this world are important. Living in the here and now makes a difference because we're connected to other people. We're connected to everyone that we meet, everyone that we don't meet. Your prayers, you might not know all those people. You don't know the people in Ukraine, but your prayers are being sent out to them because you're connected to them. Bernie Brown said this: spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all intricately connected to each other by the power greater than all of us, and that our connections and that power and the power to one another is grounded in love and in compassion. Practicing spirituality brings a sense of perspective, meaning, and purpose to our lives. We make a difference. How we live makes a difference in the here and now. When we believe that we're connected and part of something deeper than ourselves, we take and make it important how we live each day, how our lives can influence and shape other people. And we can be part of the goodness and the graciousness of God into the world. So living in the here and now means we're deeply connected to one another. Now, if we accept that connection, it means that we care for other people. What we do for another person makes a difference, even if there's times that we can't see it. Your adoptive family and the mom that you don't know, you don't see, a small gift. When you wrap that for her or for those two girls, make sure that you put your hands on it and make sure that you say, this is my gift and God's gift to you. And may it be used for blessing and to bless her life. You don't know her. You don't know who that family is. And yet it's important that you're doing that for some small care to another. We never know what we do or what we say or how we live may affect another person. We just know that it does. And the teachings of Jesus, that they tell us that what we do makes a difference. And it is the desire of God that we live and that we give our lives for others. I believe that sincerely because I think that responsibility comes from the fact that what we have is gift. Everything that we have, the very life, the very breath of air we breathe is a gift from God. We have, and all that we have comes from God's gracious love to us. And my thinking is, well, who am I to keep it all for myself? Who am I to hoard something or to take credit for something or to assume that what I have, I've done with my own doing? No. One of the reasons of stewardship in the church and your pledge to this church is a recognition that what you have is God's gift and you share that into the world. That's blessing. You're blessed, but others, more importantly, are blessed through that. We are called to care for others and to give and to share what we have. Jane Goodall said it this way: you cannot go through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference. What you have, you must decide how you give it. What kind of difference you make is decided by your actions and how you live. In the living for today, for each day, we are called as God's people to care for others and to give to others. That's the way of Jesus and his example to us. Almost done. One more thought. I think living in the here and now, it means being thankful. You know, we're really close to Thanksgiving, but for a Christian, the thankfulness is far more than this one obligatory day where we eat a whole lot of stuff and it launches the holiday season in buying. It is not that at all. The people of faith, Thanksgiving is a way of life. It's a way of living every day. It's aware of what we've been given. It's stopping, it's looking, it's seeing, it's appreciating, and living in gratitude with everything that we do. I find it really interesting that, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I've kind of have been observing that there's a lot of different places in our culture right now where people are talking about gratitude and giving thanks. And these are in articles, and they're in magazines, and they're in all kinds of really on the, I don't know, I don't do much Facebook, you know that, but it's all over. And it's small thoughts about living and how do we appreciate and give thanks for what we have and for others. And it's no accident that the Psalms are filled with prayers of thanksgiving. Many of them even start with lament and sadness, but then they go right into the end. Always ends with giving thanks to God. Martin Luther, starter of the Protestant Reformation, said, "The greatest task of the Christian on earth is to thank God for past blessings." Interesting. Giving thanks keeps our lives in perspective. It helps us live as God's people, moment by moment and here and now. Aware always that whatever comes our way and whatever is before us, we give thanks because God is with us. So how you live each day makes a difference. The past and the present and the future, they're important. But the past and the future, they give us focus for today and what we do in the here and now, how we live, how we offer love, how we offer care, seeing those deep connections, and then living every day with thanksgiving. Helps us to be God's people and helps us to share God's grace into a deeply hurting world. What a gift you have to live that way. Amen.
I invite you to rise as you are able and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 709 in the United Methodist Hymnal. Come, let us join our friends above.
Before our benediction, I would like to give you the results of the pledge cards this morning. We have a total of 16 pledge cards that were provided in the offering for that, and the amount pledged is $56,960 for calendar year 2023. I'm sure we'll get additional pledges between now and the end of the month. So just want to thank the Lord for his gifts and generosity, for you for pledging your gifts and your generosity for the Lord's work here at Aldergate United Methodist Church. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you. Very good. Good start. Excellent. So, I think I've mentioned to you before, but one of my favorite authors is Richard Rohr. He is a Franciscan and read his devotion each day. And about 2 weeks ago, he wrote this: "We live in a world saturated with the love and intentionality of an ever-present God. We are not alone." Love it. I've been carrying that with me for a few days. May you live into that faith, giving love and blessing and thanksgiving in all that you do. May you go in the name of the one who is our Creator, our Redeemer, our Sustainer. May you go in God's peace. Amen.